Like I listened to this one song from her new album and it stuck in my head. So I need to listen to something else very soon so that it can get out of my head. But that's kind of what I'm talking about here. The music in of itself is a beautiful, wonderful thing, and it can be used for good. This is not what's going on in this new album, The Life of a Showgirl. My sanity saver for you today is battery operated candles. These are some of my favorite decorations that we have in our home. They light up and they have like a timer on them, and it's not dangerous with kids with like fire and everything. And they just remind me that just like God, they light up darkness. And we've got a lot of darkness in our world right now, but that's nothing new. There's been darkness, for ever since the fall. So I think what's changed though is our culture's reaction to evil is we're either indifferent to it or we celebrate it or we're actively fighting against it. And FYI, you want to be in that group that's actively fighting against it. So in order to do that, how can we identify evil? Evil is essentially what belongs to Satan or the devil, and the devil is real. And hell is real, and we need to recognize this. Saint Faustina was given a vision of hell, which led her to give many warnings to save as many souls as she could. And one of her prominent warnings was that one of the reasons that most of the souls that she saw in hell were actually there is because they didn't believe it existed. So we need to believe that hell exists. We need to acknowledge that, and we need to live our lives with that understanding that hell is real. It's a real place, and you really don't want to go there. She described it in her vision. She described it as a place of great torture, and there's separate. She described 7 different layers of this torture, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but just know you don't want to end up there. It's awful, awful, awful stuff. But the other thing that she mentioned, Saint Faustina's in her vision of hell, and I know some of you are probably thinking, what does this have to do with Taylor Swift? I will get to that, although I wish I didn't have to bring her up at all. But I do think it's important. This vision that Saint Faustina had of hell, though, she mentions that while there's 7 different layers of torture and it's this horrible, awful place, that free will is all encompassing, right? So the people that are in hell are there because they chose it. God doesn't condemn anyone. These people chose this path. They chose to separate themselves from God. They wanted something earthly mattered. Sin, some sort of sin mattered more to them than God did. So don't like freak out. Yes, hell is real. The devil is real. It's a real place. Evil is real. But you're not just going to end up in hell without knowing it and like accidentally. Okay. This is choices that we make. We make these choices, and there are like examples, so many examples of people who did not end up in hell even though they did horrible things. And Jesus loves us so much. God loves us so much that he desires us in heaven with him even more than we desire to be there. So throughout our lives, he literally gives us every possibility to choose him. Every possibility, even in the last moment of our life, if we just choose him, if we desire that more than this sin, more than this earthly thing, then even in that moment, if our choice of him is going to keep us from going to hell. That's what we have been taught. That's what we believe. So don't be afraid of evil. Don't be afraid of hell. It's not something to be afraid of, but it is something to recognize that it exists so that we can make the right choices and not choose things that lead us away from the divine, that lead us away from God. So here's where I'm going to get into Taylor Swift a little bit. But so she recently came out with an album called The Life of a Showgirl. Ugh. Anyway, just the title in of itself. Oh my gosh. So I only listened to one of the songs. Okay. And I only listened to it because I wanted to be able to reaffirm my belief that her music is just not okay anymore. It hasn't been for a while. Probably the past 4 new albums that she's come out with have just gotten darker and darker and darker and more twisted. And that's what the devil does. Okay. He takes something good and he twists it a little bit. He doesn't twist it a lot, because if he twisted it a lot, it would be obvious to us how bad it was. He just twists it a little bit because he is the father of deception, the father of lies, okay? So he's going to lie to us, but in a tricky way that it's not so obvious. It's tempting. It's pretty. So Taylor Swift, she's great at writing catchy, fun, spunky songs, right? That get in your head. Like, I listened to this one song from her new album and it stuck in my head. So I need to listen to something else very soon so that it can get out of my head. But that's kind of what I'm talking about here. The music in of itself is a beautiful, wonderful thing, and it can be used for good. This is not what's going on in this new album, The Life of a Showgirl. I'll just, these are her literal lyrics. So this is not me putting this there. And if you'd never come for me, I might have lingered in purgatory. You wrap around me like a chain, a crown, a vine, pulling me into the fire. Don't care where the hell you've been, 'cause now you're mine. It's about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming of, the fate of Ophelia. Okay, so let's just break down that first. If you'd never come for me, I'd be lingering in purgatory. So basically, she's pinning her salvation on some guy. Number one, already not okay. All right. This is the absolute last thing we should be teaching young girls. And believe me, young girls, obviously, we all know, are listening to Taylor Swift. So she's 30 something. Have some responsibility here. You know that you influence these people. I'm sorry, getting off topic. She's pinning her salvation in some guy. Number one, not a good idea. Then she says, you've wrapped around me like a chain, a crown of vine, pulling me into the fire. So no, she's not even talking about the guy taking her out of purgatory to salvation. She's talking about the guy pulling her out of purgatory and taking her into fire. Now, whether or not she meant this as a literal fire of hell, I don't know. I certainly hope not. I certainly hope that's not what she's trying to convey. But even if it's a fire of passion, a dude pulling you out of purgatory into his fire of passion, still not a good idea. Still not a good message to be sending. Like, we don't want to be in purgatory and pulled out of it just because some guy came along and pulled us into love of them. Like, no, the goal is love of God, not love of self and self-obsession with another person. And it's absolute self-obsession. Don't care where the hell you've been. Ladies, please care where the guy has been. Please, please, please care. Like, of course we should care where they've been. That matters. That matters to how they're going to treat us, how they're going to treat kids if you have kids with them, how you're going to, how it matters. It matters where they've been. And there's not this like blanket, I forgive everything. Like, you can forgive, but it's still going to have an effect on that person where they've been. It's part of their story. It matters. And you're going to have to know how to deal with it. So anyway, it matters. Because don't care where you've been, because you're mine. No, no one is yours. No one belongs to you, and you don't belong to anyone. We belong to God. And that's it. Our spouse, we have a covenant between that person and God. It's not this possession of the person. You're mine. No, that's so unhealthy. And that's so, again, it's twisted. It's taking something that should be really beautiful, a loving relationship between two people, and it's making it possessive. And you're mine now. And so I don't care about anything else that has gone on in the past. You're mine. It's obsessive. It's twisted. It's wrong. And then it says, it's about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming of, the fate of Ophelia. So she's basically saying that this guy saved her from the fate of suicide, because that's the story of Ophelia in Shakespeare. She kills herself by drowning herself in a river. So her song, the basis of this song, is that she was saved from suicide and purgatory by some dude that pulled her into the fire. And let me just say, the music video does not redeem these lyrics in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it enforces the idea that this fire is not a good fire. Okay. It's all self-obsession and temptation and desire. The outfits are like, you very little is covered. Okay. It's just ridiculous. The amount of temptation and and just self-obsession that goes on. Why am I getting so upset about this? Because what we listen to matters. The music that we hear matters. What goes into our brain, music is one of the few things that lights up almost every part of our brain. When we're listening to music, our entire brain is awake and absorbing things. I'm picking on Taylor Swift in particular because I know how popular she is and how many young girls are going to be listening to this album. And it honestly breaks my heart. And so I'm talking to you guys, hopefully the parents of some of these kids. It's our job. It's our job. These kids are too young to make the, maybe not. I mean, maybe some of them are old enough, but some of them aren't. We need to help them make the right choices here, the right decision, help clarify for them the fogginess of whether this is right or wrong. This is wrong. This kind of music is wrong. It doesn't lead us to the divine. It leads us to something else. And anything that doesn't lead us to God is not what we should be pursuing. It's not what we should be handing our children and letting them listen to on repeat. A picture you see in passing, like we can't shelter our kids from everything. We can't hide the world away. But music that's on and in their heads constantly, we have to protect them from this. And so I'm here with my little voice and just saying, I watched it so that you don't have to. I listened to the songs so that you don't have to. Just please don't allow it in your home. There's so much good music out there. Music has such power to create memories with children, to foster imagination and create just this world inside their head. So please help foster a good world for them. A world that leads them to good things, to what is true, good, and beautiful. Okay, I'm done.